Hey guys, I'm out here on one of my favorite running trails in the city, and today I'm going to tell you all about the Newton Distance 4 and why it's so much better than the Newton Distance 3. I've been using Newton Distance runners as my go-to shoe for about 4 years now, and this was actually the shoe lineup that got me into the more minimal shoe movement. If you're not familiar with Newton shoes, their secret sauce is these lugs that are on the bottom of the shoes. What these lugs do is they compress so that when you're running every shoe stride, you get a little bit of a pop off the ground. It gives you a really nice fast feeling under your foot when you land on your mid or your forefoot. So it encourages you to run quicker, run faster, run more efficiently, lean forward, and just in general become a better runner. I'll certainly attest to that because I got a little bit faster when I transitioned to a more minimal shoe, and I found that as long as I stuck with those Newtons over the last few years, my injuries were fairly minimal, but it wasn't always so rosy. If you take a look at these Newton Distance 4s, you'll see that there's 5 lugs. There wasn't always 5 lugs. Originally, it was 4. Then enter the Newton Distance 3s, which had 5 lugs. Now, when I first got the Newton Distance 3s, it was clear that there was something dramatically different about the shoe structure. I had to size down a half size, and obviously there was 5 lugs. Also, the entire time that I used this shoe, it felt like I couldn't break it in. It didn't feel responsive. It didn't have that pop off the ground that Newtons normally have. Some people online say that that happens if they run through a puddle in the first few miles that they use the shoe. I can't remember doing that, but for whatever reason, the feeling of this shoe wasn't very good. And I was thinking about leaving the Newton lineup. Then that happened. At about 120 miles in, I lost a lug. Fortunately, Newton has always been a company that was really good with customer service. I emailed them immediately, and even though I had 120 miles in the shoes and they were pretty beaten up, they instantly sent out the Newton Distance 4s. And these puppies have rekindled my love for Newton. It took about 15 miles to break this in, and once that break-in period was over, it was right back to that original Newton pop that I loved, but it was better because it had that 5th lug. And since that time, this has been my go-to shoe. This is a fantastic shoe for your speed work, your tempo work, running on the track. It's not to say that you can't use it for long runs. I do quite a bit, but the ride is a little more aggressive, so you do get beat up a little bit on those long runs. Where this shoe excels is in that fast effort. It makes you want to run fast. So here are the things that I love about Newton. Starting at the top, it's very airy, so your feet get nice and cool because it's this breathable mesh. The heel cup is very, very flexible. And one difference between the Newton 4s and the Newton 3s is that the tongue on the Newton 4s is very thin, so it doesn't pinch your foot at all. The inner isn't so smooth that your foot is sliding around, and besides a slight hot spot that I develop right here on the inside arch of my foot occasionally, I have no problem wearing this in triathlons barefoot. They're also very loose and flexible almost every which way, so it gives you enough structure that you're not flopping around, but it also gives you enough flexibility to move as your foot sees fit. I like the specs of this shoe too. The heel to toe drop on a Newton Distance 4 is 4 millimeters, and the weight of a size 9 Newton Distance 4 is 8.1 ounces. And the last thing that I like about Newtons has nothing to do with the shoes, it's the customer service of the company. These shoes being replaced isn't the first time I had an issue with Newtons. They've done it in the past, and they've always been really helpful at getting things fixed. They're not super shoes though, and there are a few things that I dislike about the shoes. The first thing that I dislike about these shoes is the durability. I don't even have 100 miles on these shoes yet, and the front lugs are already wearing down. That happens to me on every single pair of Newtons that I've ever had. Usually around 200 miles or so, they need a full replacement because my feet start getting achy, my ankles start getting sore, chipmunks start yelling at me, and 200 miles for a shoe that's over $150 at very least is pretty pricey. I keep buying them even though they are pricey for how long they last because they've kept me injury free. I've had 6 pairs of Newton Distance runners. I'll probably get more. These are my go-to shoe. If I'm not thinking about what shoe I'm gonna grab, I almost always grab the Newton distances right now. If you want any more info on the Newton Distance 4s, I'll put a link in the description below to our affiliate site, Roadrunner Sports, where they sell the Newton distances. Usually it's for a pretty good cost. They have free shipping, all kinds of good stuff. You can go there and get all the technical specs of the Newton Distance lineup. If you are a regular A-Race viewer, I'd like you to comment below and tell me your experience with Newtons over the years, because everyone seems to have a very different take on how they react to the Newtons. If you're new to A-Race, you can take a look at a couple of the videos we've done over around this area here. We are for triathletes, swimmers, cyclists, runners, basically any endurance athlete who wants to get a little faster, figure out what gear to buy, and have more fun with endurance sports. So I'd love if you subscribed. If you're watching on a computer, you can click anywhere on me to subscribe, or hit the subscribe button below if you're watching on mobile. And finally, if you want to check us out on social media or our website, all those links are up here. Thank you for watching. Kill your next A-Race.